Hey, welcome back. Greg Peterson here. We've been talking a little bit about what is going on with these markets out there, and wow, there's some crazy stuff, frankly, that's it's going to do nothing but cause problems here over the years. Specifically, we were talking about the problems that are going on with our friends in the cryptocurrency realm, right? We've been talking about how things over at Bitcoin have changed, how it's frankly dropping down. It's dropping down just in a huge, huge way. And I mentioned that this article here by Jacob Kleinman about what he's seen. Now, this is a website called CoinDesk, not that we're going to talk about here. And CoinDesk was a website, it still is, that tracks the value of various types of coins, like the Bitcoins, and there's a lot of cryptocurrencies out there right now. But we know it can be valuable. It has been very volatile, I should say, as well as valuable. It's been very volatile. On January 8th, the whole market took just a huge plunge, and they've never fully recovered from it. And people were blaming all kinds of things out there. The crypto regulation was the one I heard the most, where, hey, listen, China's cracking down on it, and the United States here, the IRS wants you to report the money that you've made off the cryptocurrencies, which of course it is. It's like any other investment. You make a profit, you pay your taxes, right? And it just didn't help. Let me just put it that way. It didn't help the value of those currencies. And ultimately they dropped, and they dropped pretty dramatically. Now, one of the things that I found out just this week that really surprised me is that apparently a lot of dictators around the world have been putting serious money into Bitcoin. And when that happens, when they're taking their government coffers and they're putting into something as volatile as Bitcoin, just terrible things can happen, right? Just terrible. And you could lose all of the money, the whole treasury's gone. They're hoping to make money off of it, obviously, but they're using millions of dollars of their from their people, from the taxes they've been paying, and it's so easy to lose. But so that kind of surprised me. So there's been a lot of factors propping it up. We've got countries now who are tightening up regulations on it. Japan had one of the largest cryptocurrency exchanges in the world, and that just fell flat on its face, right? Millions of dollars worth of Bitcoin were lost or stolen, and that's been happening now for, well, basically since Bitcoin started. There's one of the Bitcoin currencies that about, I think it was a fifth of its total value has been lost. We've got Kodak now. Kodak has decided it's going to be a cryptocurrency company. Companies are changing their name and putting cryptocurrency in it or blockchain and are now, just worth incredible amounts of money. I don't know if you've seen these things going on, but it's been absolutely crazy. Well, there is a report that came out from the Wall Street Journal, and they're saying that they can lay the blame for the crash of the cryptocurrencies from December, well, through now, but particularly that January 8th crash, on the head of a single 31-year-old guy from his apartment in Queens, New York. The guy's name is Brandon Shez, and he's the creator of this website I mentioned earlier. It's called coinmarketcap.com. That's where you'll find it. I was looking at some stats here from CoinDesk, but his website, this guy that apparently caused the crash, ran coinmarketcap.com. So this is a website that tracks this volatile, ever-changing value of the various cryptocurrencies that are out there. And what they've done, what he did is he took the value of the cryptocurrencies from a number of different currency exchanges. And that's where the value really comes out. You can buy pizza from certain pizza places with your cryptocurrencies. I think Overstock.com or one of those guys was taking cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin. I don't know if they still are or not, but there's a few places that you can buy it. Most people are buying it for the investment and then selling it again. Now, when I said investment, I made air quotes, but you probably didn't see me do that, right? But they did it for the investment value. Well, how do you get your hands on cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin? Well, almost everyone has to go to a currency exchange and buy the Bitcoin. So you go to a currency exchange. There's an ATM over in Portsmouth, New Hampshire, that you can use your ATM card and withdraw Bitcoin, as it were, right? You're not getting like cash or anything, but the ATM will get you that, will conduct the transaction. Well, there are a lot of these currency exchanges, and they all have slightly different prices, slightly different values. So they'll say, well, right now one Bitcoin's worth $8,000 US, for instance. So that a currency exchange will sell you a fraction of a Bitcoin for less than the amount of the $8,000, or you can buy more than that. And that's how it works. If you want to buy a cup of coffee worth $5 with Bitcoin, you're not going to be able to split it up, right? That's a problem you have with gold. If you're investing in gold and you have an ounce of gold and that ounce is worth $1,000, it's worth more than that right now, but let's say it's worth $1,000, that gold that you have might be difficult to use to buy a loaf of bread because it's worth $1,000. That's a lot of loaves of bread. How are you going to split it up? Which is why they say, hey, listen, if you're worried about it, a market collapse, and you're trying to get things, then you have to have gold, you have to have silver, you should have smaller denominations, you should have regular cash, right? All of those types of things. That's what the preppers are doing out there. So how do I take an $8,000 Bitcoin and it's, or 10,000 or 20,000, whatever it's worth when you want to exchange it? How do I take that and buy a loaf of bread? Well, Bitcoin has thought that through and had thought it through before it was even released. And they allow you to buy fractions, just teeny tiny fractions of Bitcoin. So you can buy that loaf of bread with a Bitcoin, or you can buy that cup of coffee. So you're just using just a small fraction of that. Well, all of these transactions, when you're trying to go to Bitcoin or from Bitcoin to US dollars, go through currency exchanges. And this guy in his apartment in Queens had a website that was tracking the most popular websites in the world that had information about the value on the currency exchanges, plus the currency exchanges themselves. So that includes CoinDesk, Coinbase, Blockchain.info. Those are some of the biggest ones. And the website also has been buying ads over in Google's ad network. Well, sounds good enough, right? Some 31-year-old entrepreneur sitting in his apartment there in New York City, and he has a website and he's making a few bucks off of it, right? Great, good for him. But here's what happened. Some of the most volatile Bitcoin pricing and cryptocurrency, not just Bitcoin, but cryptocurrency, some of the most volatile trades come out of South Korea. So what he did is he took out the South Korean currency exchanges because he wanted Bitcoin to not be going up and down as much. So all he had is a website. He had a website that showed this is the current value for Bitcoin. And the South Korean trading activity, it was showing Bitcoin being worth more than everybody else did. It was very volatile. So he had the most popular website on earth for giving you an idea what the value is. All of a sudden, because he took South Korea's currency exchanges out of there, and the South Korean currency exchanges had the highest value, guess what happened? All of a sudden now his site showed a plummet in the value of Bitcoin. Now, he didn't publicly announce what he had done. He didn't talk about the changes. He just did it. He instantly drove down the value of cryptocurrencies on the most popular site on earth for tracking that information. The response was like that. Prices cratered, and they've continued to drop ever since. So coinmarketcap.com is still as popular as ever. Shays has stayed out of the spotlight. The Wall Street Journal even sent a reporter over to his apartment to talk to him, but he didn't answer the door. So this sort of thing can happen. It's very volatile. All it takes is one event. And this is just some guy, right? And what's the typical thing? Sitting in his underwear, 31 years old in his apartment in Queens, running a little website that just aggregated data about various cryptocurrencies. And he made one change and the whole thing fell apart. So it's a very big deal. It's an interesting story. That's why I shared it with you. But I want you to share some stuff with me. I really want your opinions. I need you to click right now. If you have my SMS message, if you got my text message, there's a link in there. Please click on it. Spend 3 minutes. This will work on your cell phone. It'll work on your desktop. If you got my email, it's right at the top of the email. This morning's normal Saturday show notes. It's right there. Please take the time to click on it. Please have your friends that listen to the show click on it. Or you can go right now. Go to Biggest Challenge. So craigpeterson.com/biggest challenge. It's craigpeterson.com/biggest challenge. And let me know what your biggest challenge is. Stick around. When we get back, we're going to talk about Apple. Oh my, this is bad. This is very bad. Another big security problem. And frankly, this one's Apple's fault. Stick around. We'll be right back. You're listening to Craig Peterson. Hey, welcome back. I'm going to also answer your questions here. The questions we're we're asking for your opinion, and we really, really want it. We want to know, when it comes to keeping your personal and financial information 100% secure online, what's your single biggest challenge, your frustration or problem you've been struggling with? I'm going to share with you here in the last segment of the show, coming up in about 10, 15 minutes. I'm going to share with you some of the top ones we received already this week. Let's see if there's some that you have had, but it'll only take you a couple of minutes. Make sure you click on that link right near the top. It even says click here of the email that I send out every Saturday morning, our show notes. You'll see it right in there. And just take a few minutes, and I have a special gift for those people that do share their opinions, and it's your opinion that I want here, right? I don't want you to regurgitate things that I've said. Although, it's kind of cool hearing that. Okay, so you remember a few months ago, Apple had problems. They've had problems over the years with the secrecy. We had a problem with an Apple engineer leaving an iPhone at a bar. Do you remember that one, or was it a restaurant? I think it was a bar. And that engineer had this pre-release iPhone. No one had seen one yet. It was for testing. He was playing around with it. He had it at the bar. He left it there. And then someone found it, got it to a tech blogger or a writer who wrote some articles about it, and it was really red-faced, embarrassing type stuff, right? And you know how tight Apple keeps everything to the chest. Well, and we've had other problems here as well, but the most recent one is it has to do with the iPhone, because the one before that, about, what was it, 2 or 3 months ago, an Apple engineer posted the internals of the HomePod build in it. Do you remember that? The HomePod, of course, really great speaker from Apple. I was down at the local Apple store yesterday because we deal a lot with Apple and we help them with their business customers, right? So I was down there talking to them, and they had the HomePod sitting there. And as we were talking about some of the new security measures that we've got for Apple, they had the HomePod going. In fact, one of the guys was dancing to it. That thing is amazing. Anyways, that particular piece of leak about the HomePod also had a bunch of iPhone 10 secrets in it. So that was Apple's most significant leak in history, because it was dramatic. Until this week, when someone shared the source code for the iPhone's bootloader. It's called iBoot. And that's the code that runs on the iPhone before iOS gets started. And it's if you're an engineer, you know what a bootstrap sequence is. That's what this is. It's their bootstrap loader. So it means before iOS is running, when we're talking to the raw hardware, including the secure enclave, we have a special little operating system. They're always designed to be lightweight and just get things going. Well, that is out there right now. Apple has never shared any information, publicly anyways, with any company about this particular piece of code called iBoot. Big deal. It ended up on GitHub, and the iBoot source code is being called the biggest leak in history. And that's over. That was from Jonathan Levin. You might know him. He's a writer over at Motherboard, which is another good website. So he wrote a series of books on iOS and Mac OS. So he knows, and he says this is a huge deal that it got out. It's one component that Apple has kept very close to the chest because it is so critical for the Apple security. Okay. Apple's even still encrypting the 64-bit image of iBoot to make it more difficult for people to figure it out and work backwards. So now that it's out there in source code form, we're going to get to see all kinds of new NSA and Russian and hacker hacks against the iPhone because there was definitely a security through obscurity piece to this. If they didn't know how an iPhone booted, exactly what it did, they wouldn't be able to crack that particular portion of the bootstrap. Now, this piece of code, this huge piece of code that was out on GitHub, is for iOS 9. Okay, we're a lot further along, but it is still relevant. It's relevant to security researchers, it's relevant to hackers, because it is going to show potential holes in Apple's operating system. So Apple has not, at least as of a couple of days ago, they have not confirmed the authenticity of this leak, but this could lead to new jailbreaks, new ways to decrypt iPhones. It could allow hackers to emulate iOS on non-Apple platforms. This could be huge, okay? Huge. So Apple's only statement is that, as I said, they didn't confirm the authenticity, but they did come out and say, I'm going to read directly from their spokesperson, old source code from 3 years ago appears to have been leaked, but the design of our security of our products does not depend on the secrecy of our source code. There are many layers of hardware and software predictions built into our products, and we will always encourage customers to update to the newest software releases to benefit from the latest protections. In other words, they're planning on putting some more fixes in here as we go forward, which is what we expect. iOS 11, 2 major releases later, is installed on 65% of iOS devices. That's the current one. iOS 10, 28%. And only 7% are running earlier versions. But this leak does not necessarily require you to be running an old version of the software or hardware, okay? Obviously, Apple filed a copyright takedown request, and the software was removed from the site. But that's okay. It was up there. It's out there. Don't worry about it, okay? People have it, particularly the bad guys and our various governments that are monitoring us. Now, there's stuff we're not going to be able to get to today that you will find in today's show notes. So there's 2 places to find them. I emailed the show notes to you this morning. You'll see it in the show notes right there, all of these articles. But China's surveillance state should scare everyone. It is crazy what's happening out there. Black Mirror, which is a new sci-fi show, become very popular very quickly. It's kind of like Twilight Zone. I really like this thing. They had a very interesting episode, but also The Circle. Did you see The Circle? This is crazy because in The Circle, you had a kind of a score, a social media score. In this Black Mirror episode, you had a social media score, but if it wasn't high enough, you couldn't get credit. In fact, if it wasn't high enough, you couldn't even buy a cup of coffee. Okay, if it dropped down too far, because people wouldn't talk to you anymore because you are obviously a pariah, right? Real bad problem. Well, China is now coming up with what they're calling a citizen score. The citizen score is going to be used based on how you are online. If you are a good communist, and if you're a good communist and you're following the Communist Party rules when you're online and you're not trying to get around things, and you go to the Communist Party meetings and you vote for the right communist, your citizen score will be higher, but it's going to follow you everywhere you go. So the article that I have there, my show notes, talks about what they're doing it, how they're doing it, how they're calculating the score. They are using private companies, including US-based companies, software and tools. This is something out of a dystopian sci-fi show, let me tell you, okay? But you'll find more about it there on my website or in the show notes. YouTube ads, that I said I have to talk about this. So let's talk about this for just a minute here. YouTube ads now are infected with this new cryptocurrency malware. I warned about this in show notes a couple of weeks ago because it was starting to become a real problem. It was destroying some Android devices. In fact, someone in my eSecurity Coach group asked about this over on Facebook. How bad is this? Well, the reason it's been destroying Android phones is that some of these Android phones don't have the ability to sense when the CPU is overheating. And they will burn themselves up quite literally because what they're doing, the bad guys, have crypto mining software. They're trying to mine these Bitcoins and other coins. And they're using your machines to do it because now the electricity costs more than what it costs to find a new Bitcoin. And we're not going to get into all the details of how that all works. But in this case now, some of these YouTube ads are using your browsers. So you're on Windows, you're on a Mac, it doesn't matter. And now you go to a website, it has an ad, and in this case we're talking about YouTube, that has this crypto mining software in it. It can secretly take over your machine. So your machine slows down. Now, it's not doing anything terribly malicious. It's stealing your electricity. It's stealing the use of your machine, which is bad. And depending on your machine and your operating system, your machine may become inoperable. That's particularly true for Windows machines, much less true for Macs. But it's really, really bad. Google's own DoubleClick network, ad network, is crazy. The ads are designed to consume 80% of your computer, but in fact, some of them are consuming more than 100%, and we won't get into how that's possible. And then medical health records, there's a new health record section that's coming out from Apple in the new update, the iOS 11.3, and you'll be able to use it at 12 different medical institutions initially, but it has all of your health information in it. And Apple's getting into the medical business. We just heard 2 weeks ago about some major multinational corporations that are going to be providing their own health care and everything else. So things are changing, and we're getting some real market involvement, which is going to drive the price down and the quality up. It's all good. It's interesting Apple's doing this, and thank goodness it's Apple. They do keep personal information personal and private. So I need to hear from you. Again, I hate to sound like I'm begging, but I need you to go because I want to know what you want to hear, what we should be talking about, what you're concerned about here. And the easiest way to do it, if you have my text message from this morning, click on that link. Please click on the link. Take a few minutes. I've got a special gift for you at the end. Uh, you can go to your email this morning. Again, it's in there. It's in the SMS, or you can just go to craigpeterson.com/slash biggest challenge. craigpeterson.com/slash biggest challenge. Stick around. We will be back, and we'll be answering your 5 top questions from the people that already express their opinion over there at craigpeterson.com/biggest challenge. So we'll be answering your 5 top issues, addressing them when we get back. Stick around. Of course, you're listening to Craig Peterson. Hey, welcome back. I appreciate it. We had a bunch of people click through here during the break and give us their opinion, and I am so happy to see that. We've done a lot of different things with the show over the years, and over the last, well, really 10 years, I've been focusing a lot on security because it's so important, and it costs businesses tens of billions of dollars a year, and it costs consumers also tens of billions of dollars a year, plus you can lose everything. All of those photos of your kids, and I think back to having lost them myself. In fact, there was a board op here, a show producer, right here at these same stations, who had a hard disk with all of these photos on it. And he lost it, right? He gave it to me and said, "Hey, can you recover this?" And the power supply was bad and the disk wouldn't work. And I think what happened is that the power supply probably took the disk with it. And so it was over, right? It was done. He couldn't afford the expense of a recovery. It can cost you 10 grand to try and do some sort of a recovery on the surface of a disk. So there's no way that he could afford something like that. So I worked on it and tried to recover, but I couldn't. So there went 5 years of his life. The pictures of his little kid, the videos of the little kid, all of that stuff had been on that disk. And I felt so bad. I tried and I tried and I tried to recover that stuff for him. So think about that. How would you feel? Think about losing all of those things. And that really got me to thinking, wow, he lost all of the stuff. I could not get that back for him. And that's a huge deal, right? It's a huge deal. Because I got 8 kids, right? I'd hate to lose all of these. Now, we have, of course, good old-fashioned photos from the kids when they were younger, and we're able to scan them, and we still have those old-fashioned photos. But now they're online, we're using Apple Photos app, and they're in the cloud, and we share them, and, there's some reliability there. But man, to lose that. So that got me to thinking about what can I do to help people, right? And obviously it's you doing the backups, off-site backups, and it's the whole malware stack, right? The anti-malware protection, which requires a fair amount of knowledge and a fair amount of work. So that's really what the question is involving. And as we look forward, I'm looking right now at an article here in CIO magazine, and it's talking about 2018. It's trying to make a little bit of a forecast. Now, you remember, I predicted that 2016 would be the year of the medical hack, and it was. And 2017 would be the year of ransomware. Well, they're looking forward here, trying to see what's going to happen. And they're saying if you thought 2017 was a dire year for data breaches, wait until 2018. So they're quoting from the Information Security Forum a little bit about the breaches and forecasts that are going to be happening in 2018. So from the ISF, which is the Information Security Forum, an international organization, in 2018, we will see increased sophistication in the threat landscape, with threats being personalized to their target's weak spots or metamorphosing to take account of defenses that have already been put in place. So I'm trying to help solve this for all of the listeners. And so we've had people, as I've said, click through right now. If you have your text message from this morning, click through, take a few minutes, give me your opinion. If you got the email, click through. And we need about 300 people to answer, okay? So we need you to take that action. We need you to do more than just nod your head and say, I'll get to it later. We need you to do it right now so that it gets done, so I can know what we have to talk about. Do we need to get some more guests in here? Do we need to talk about the very basics? Do I need to put together another webinar series for you guys? What do I need to do to make this work for you? So you can click on those, or if you haven't already, you can also go to craigpeterson.com/biggest challenge. craigpeterson.com/biggest challenge. We'll give that out in about another minute and a half here just before the show ends. But here are the top things people are sharing with us right now as they're sharing their opinions. Number one thing they're worried about is malicious code, which is a very, very big deal. These are computer programs, usually secretly installed, right? Why would you install something that's malicious? You wouldn't on purpose. That goes into your computer and does things, okay? So it's just malicious code is the generalization for everything else, right? Your viruses, various types of malware, ransomware, Trojans, you name it, okay? So number one thing so far you guys have said, you're concerned about malicious code. Stolen or lost laptop or mobile device, that's number 2. Spear phishing is number 3, and in fact, that's what this study that just came out, we just quoted from, right? The Information Security Forum. Spear phishing is attacks crafted for an individual. Unsecured wireless internets is number 4. And number 5 right now is insider threats here, disgruntled employees. So lots to worry about. Please do take the time. I appreciate everybody that's gone through this. I have a special gift for you at the end. You've got to keep up. You got to keep up on this stuff. And I hate to say that. And I want to help you. But the only way I can help you is if you help me by sharing your opinion. That's all I'm asking for here. craigpeterson.com/biggest challenge, all one word. craigpeterson.com/biggest challenge is where you can go. Or just click right there in the text I sent you this morning, or click in the email. Have a safe week. I hope you guys enjoyed the show today. We covered a lot of things. The things that we didn't get to that you might have questions about, you'll find in my show notes that I send out every Saturday morning, including this morning. If you haven't subscribed already, to get those weekly show notes, and I don't spam you, I don't sell the list, okay? I send you my show notes, and I send you emergency notifications about nastiness. Go to craigpeterson.com/subscribe, and we will be talking with you next week and, in fact, tomorrow for the Facebook Live. Have a great day. Bye-bye.